Sheikh Abdel Rahman Mussa. If you note, I'm not telling you the profiles of the speakers because you've got it all in the program, just for the sake of speeding up the program. So if you do go back, refer to that so we know your speakers more. Because that's all I think. Sheikh Abdel.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا ربي لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا. أما بعد فالسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. There is a version of the following story almost in every single culture and in every time, because there will be people who are like this in every single culture and in every single time. The version that I will tell you about is of a Chinese man. This Chinese man has children, and one day, whilst his children are playing with the horse, one of the children is behind the horse and the horse kicks him and then stamps on him, and he breaks his legs. Everyone comes to him and they offer their condolences. We're very sorry to hear about your son. He's broken his leg, he's cracked a couple of ribs. It's very, very sad. The man, he said to them, this happened to my son. I don't know if it's good, I don't know if it's bad. After a while, he was working on the fields, and everyone else had their sons and daughters to help him, and this man was missing his strongest or oldest son because of what happened to his leg. So they said to him, we're very sorry that your son can't be here with you to help you as our sons and daughters are here to help us. He said, he is not here, but I don't know if this is good, I don't know if this is bad. After a while, they saw soldiers coming, and these soldiers wanted the oldest sons from every family. So they came and they saw that this man's son wasn't there, firstly, and secondly, when they went to the home, he had broken his leg. Everyone went to the man and they said, congratulations, your son is the only one who's not going to die. Your son is the only one who's not going to be taken by the soldier, and he's the only one that's not going to die. He said, I don't know if this is good, I don't know if this is bad. And the story carries on and on and on and on. And there's a version of this in every single culture. In every single culture. Where something happens and people go to either offer congratulations or condolences to the person, and the person says, I don't know if this is good, I don't know if this is bad. But notice here what happens. What looked to be bad turned out good for him. And maybe after that what turned out to be good might be bad. We do not know these things, because these things are all relative to each other. And the present is always relative to the future. The present is always relative to the future. So him breaking his leg is good relative to the future if the future entails that it's beneficial for him to have broken his leg. But it might be disadvantageous. We don't know. There is a cliche, a thing that is repeated again and again, a metaphor that is repeated again and again, especially by psychologists. And this metaphor is the cup half empty or is the cup half full? Personally, I think this metaphor is so far and oft repeated that it has lost its meaning. But I want to just mention one thing about this metaphor. When we say right now that the cup is half full or half empty, what are we really doing? What are we really doing? We are comparing it. And this is something about our minds and our neurology. Our minds and our neurology, we have to compare. There is no statement that we can utter except that there is a comparison within it. There's nothing you can say, even nothing you can think almost, except that it has a comparison. This is a rule, except that it has a comparison. So when I say I am happy, I'm comparing this to not being sad. When I say the room is cold, I'm comparing it to not being warm. If you want to breathe heavier to warm the room up, I would appreciate that a lot. Especially I'm in the front, all of the warmth is going to come here, inshallah. We're always comparing. And so when I say the cup is half empty, what am I comparing that to? I'm comparing it to being half full. But who told me that I was entitled to a cup that was half full? Who told me that I was entitled to a cup that's half full? And when I say the cup is half full, what am I comparing it to? What am I comparing it to when I say the cup is half full? I'm comparing it to when it's empty. And this is a decision that every single one of us faces every single second of their life. I feel happy today. By feeling happy, what are you comparing it to? To something less. And the Prophet ﷺ, from his sunnah, he taught us that we spend time with the people who have less. That we are always there visiting the poor, visiting the ones whose health is not there. Why? Because we're always reminded to compare to nothing. And this is the true case. This is reality. In today's world, where we walk into a supermarket and all of a sudden we have what would need 20 farms. You would need to be a king in order to have, even more than a king, in order to have the choice that we have today, just by walking into the local Tesco, not the superstore. This tricks us into thinking that we are entitled. When I walk into my kitchen, it should be full. When I wake up today, I should have money. Whereas the truth is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us and He does what He wishes. The truth is that we are not entitled to anything. The truth is that when you compare yourself, you ought to compare yourself compared to nothing. This is one side of the equation. This stops you from feeling that depressed anxiety of, I should have but I don't. Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doing this to me? First of all, you need to remember that you came from nothing. I came from nothing. So the fact that I exist in and of itself is a blessing enough. That's the first half of the equation. The second half is that you have to remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Allahu Akbar. Allah is greater. This is an incomplete sentence, because what has to come after this is greater than what? It is incomplete. Meaning Allah is greater than everything. And when you understand that, Allah is even greater than your understanding of that statement. These two things together, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you deserve nothing, I deserve nothing. The fact that we exist is enough of a bounty to be blessed. The fact that I have my faith is more than I could ever have asked for. But then the other thing is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's possibilities are unlimited. If you take just the first half, then you'll be content, but you will not have ambition. How is it that you can have ambition without getting depressed? This is how. By remembering that the possibilities are unlimited, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the greatest. So you have nothing to lose because you're better than nothing. And you have everything to gain because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the provider of everything. This balance between these two extreme and opposite polarities, this is the middle that we abide in. This is the center where we find our peace. That we deserve nothing, but that we can have everything with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's permission. The title is how to move from a negative mindset into a positive mindset. And as with everything, when words are chosen, they have to be chosen very, very carefully. There is no need to even go into a negative mindset to start with. There is no need to go into negative. The title assumes that you have to go into negative in order to then move into positive. But there is no need to move into the negative in the first place. How is it that we move into the negative? We move into the negative by doing the opposite, by feeling that we're entitled to this, we're entitled to that. I'm entitled that when my son grows up, he should be healthy. But who said that I'm entitled to this? So if we don't do that, we will not walk in, or we will not end up in the negative. And moving to the positive. And it's very important, again, with words, we have to be very, very important. The metaphor of negative and positive, this is a metaphor in electronics. This is a metaphor that's come out of electricity. And when we apply it to the psychology of a human being, and having studied both engineering, electrical engineering and psychology, it's not a good metaphor to use. But we will use it just because we've started. But be careful when you use this metaphor. The Prophet ﷺ would be very impressed with a man or a woman who would speak good And the Prophet ﷺ would always ignore what we would call bad omens. So you wake up in the morning and the sky is dark and someone says, oh, this is an evil day. Today's going to be a hard day. The Prophet ﷺ ignored this. The Prophet ﷺ never took any sign to be a sign of evil. Any sign to be a sign of evil. The Prophet ﷺ, who is he? He is the one that lost his wife and his supporting uncle in the same year. He is the one, and they call it the year, when it's badly translated, they call it the year of depression. The Prophet ﷺ was never depressed. Hasha lillah and hasha li rasuli, he was never depressed. It was the year of difficulty and year of sadness, but not the year of depression. Have you ever seen someone who's depressed? They are not able to get out of their house. Yet this year was one arguably of the most movement for the Prophet ﷺ, where he did the most. He was not depressed. He would be happy with the one who spoke good, and he forbade the speaking of ill. He would say that you speak good or you stay silent. فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَصْمُتْ. What is this? This is also that we don't step into the negative mindset. Negative within quotations. That we don't step into that mindset and we remain within the positive mindset. My time is running out, and in 15 minutes there is no way that I can give this, I can even begin to give this topic any fair due. Inshallah, we have a 45-minute workshop entitled 10 Years of Change in 7 days. 10 years of change in 7 days. And inshallah, that's where we'll go more into this and explore these things more. Finally, just to mention one ayah of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says to the believers, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولا تهنوا ولا تحزنوا. Do not be weak and do not feel humiliated. وأنتم الأعلون, and you are on top. إن كنتم مؤمنين, if you are believers. And subhanAllah, the timing of this ayah came at the time when the believers had just been beaten in war. A time when if anyone is excused for feeling depressed or sad or humiliated or weak, then this is the time. And yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbids, forbids that we feel that way. Forbids that we feel that way. Inshallah, if I see you in the workshop, we can continue further. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah.